Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got a segment for you.
We got a segment for you. But actually, so we were talking just a minute ago and about the updated title to this segment, but I have not come up with an updated title. It's still FBB banter for now.
Got it. Okay.
But I did have a question for you, which is, last time we recorded the podcast, we were talking about office stories, and you had alluded to the fact that at one point you had a cubicle job. And I thought, I need to hear about this because I can't imagine you working in a cubicle.
When did that actually go down? So I got out of college and I believe it was, right after college. I was on the fast track to medical school. I graduated, took the MCATs, was like ready to apply, but then I said, you know what? I'm going to pump the brakes and I'm going to apply a year later so that I can have a gap year.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, what the hell you need a gap year for?
Your dad would say that.
And so anyway, I took this little gap year. I traveled a little bit and then was like back in Marin, and I was like, okay, I need a job. I love the gym. I'll get a job at the gym. And they were like, well, we have a position in the corporate office, which was like around the corner, it was Gold's Gym. And I basically this was like before they had electronic membership filing. It was like there were actual papers that people came in and signed, and then those needed to get filed into filing cabinets, and that was pretty much all I did. And the filing cabinet was like, one wall in this small room, and I had like a chair with like basically like a cubicle, and I was there for 6-8 hours a day, and there was like a stack of memberships that was not that big, and I would just like whip through it, and I was like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do? Like just sitting around. And I remember this woman named Kat was my supervisor or boss, and she was a real quirky woman. She like was covered in tattoos, like loved to lift weights, but also was a big skateboarder. And like I would see, or maybe she was into roller skating actually.
Really?
I take it back, not skateboarding, roller skating.
Roller skating?
And anyway, I'm sure she had a lot of stuff that she was doing, but I didn't see her that much, and I don't know. I remember getting like in trouble basically because I was like just sitting around like watching videos on something. I don't even know what I was. Were there even YouTube videos back then? Like I'm not sure, but I was definitely just dicking around because I was like, there's nothing to do here. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not doing anything. Like I have no idea what to do at this point. So I did not stay in that job for very long. And, yeah, then the next time I worked in a gym was, after medical school when I got hired at TJ's gym, CrossFit gym.
Yeah. So that was the only time you worked in like a Globo gym scenario?
Yes.
And you were in the corporate office.
Yeah. Which got me a free membership. Pumped on that. But no, yeah, it was, but I did meet some good people at that gym, a lot of really good people at that gym. So that definitely helped me on a path towards where I'm at today.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, shall we?
Yeah. We have a topic for today.
I know. You were just talking about it with Nate. Tell me about it.
So our topic was from someone who wrote in. Thank you for sending us a message. I don't actually know how this came in. Was it through one of our DMs or email maybe? But the question was about how to set yourself up to not have frustrating experiences when you know that a big life change is coming. And in this person's case in particular, he's in our Persist Pump program. He's loving it. But he's got a baby on the way, and he knows that his life is just about to get upended.
Yeah.
So knowing that's coming, he's like, how should I set myself up here? Should I plan to stay on the program I'm on? Should I plan to overhaul my schedule entirely? What's realistic if you can predict a life change to set yourself up so that you're like, okay, I know how to make progress. I know that I have a plan. I know things are going to get crazy for a while, but I'm not going to lose my hard-earned fitness progress.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into his specific scenario, let's talk about some other scenarios that people listening might be in, because the vast majority of you listening probably don't have a baby on the way. Maybe you don't even have kids, or you're not planning on having kids. So, but this could very well still be an applicable topic to you. I'm thinking about students that might be listening.
Yeah.
I was just on winter break. I was just on summer break, and I'm going back to school, and I was like dialed in on my winter break. I was dialed in on my summer break. I was going to the gym. I was eating well. Now I'm going to be back taking classes, studying late. How am I going to adjust my schedule? And or you just you're starting a new job, and your last job, this was your schedule, this was your commute time. You got this great new opportunity, but now you have to drive 60 minutes, 90 minutes each way to your job, which is going to cut into some of that time that you have for self-care. Or, of course, the situation of like the holidays are coming up, and now you're going to have to be a lot more social. And how am I going to get through, November and December? And how do I change my expectations? How do I avoid pressing just the fuck it button and being like, I'm not doing anything. I didn't get all of the stuff that I wanted to done, so instead I'm going to do nothing. Can you think of another scenario where this might come in?
The only other one that was coming to mind was when you've got your routine totally set with your normal gym that you go to, and then it's like, oh, my gym is closing, and I've got to go like to this other thing and try to find a new routine there with maybe different equipment, or maybe I'm switching to a home gym. And there's something about the actual physical place where you train that has changed. And I think that can throw a wrench in things sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, we saw that a lot in the last couple of years.
Sure.
Well, where do you start? Like, what do you think is sort of, what's the biggest pain point? Let's discuss the pain points of this, because before we like talk about solutions, like, what's the feeling that comes up when you're not able to have control over your, schedule? I mean, what comes up for you if that's a situation that you find yourself in?
There's so much about fitness for me that depends on my routine. So if I have a disruption to that, there's immediate fear that I'm not going to be able to stay consistent, because I'm just going to be bandied about by the winds of change and not have a handle on how to get rhythmic with it. Because a lot of times, for example, on my Mondays when I'm training, I do not feel like training at all on Mondays. I'm exhausted and I'm just trying to get my head around the week. And I train late in the day on Mondays. But there's something that I've noticed where, because I train at that time every single week and I'm just alone in my basement, it kind of sucks. But there's something about having formed that habit that carries me through, because it's the same every week. And it's almost like, okay, this is the part where I'm not motivated, and this is the part where I go do it anyway. Yeah. And there's something you can rest on when you have consistency around rhythm. When I don't have consistency around rhythm, it feels like I'm afraid to lose my progress. I'm afraid because I can't see the future of myself being successful, and I don't know how that's going to happen. And I'm also very conscious of the extra energy expenditure from not only trying to get my workout done, but trying to figure everything out. Like, how am I going to get to the place, or how am I going to work it into the schedule or accommodate the change that's coming to actually make progress.
Yeah, finding that that rhythm, or that consistency in your rhythm that you can count on, that's predictable, is, I think, that's the part that, like, when that gets disrupted, it can feel like such a loss. It can feel like you're really lost, and I don't know where I'm going to find it again. And in experience with coaching people and my own life changes, what I know is that in every new circumstance that you find yourself in, you are going to find those little pockets that you can protect, those consistency pockets. Even with a brand new baby, you will be able to find those. It's just, there's going to be a gap between, I had this perfect, consistent rhythm, then a big change happened, And when are you going to find yourself settled into something new that you can count on? What's that gap going to look like? Is it going to be a few days? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month? Maybe it's going to be 3 months, and the goal is to minimize how long that is. And I think that in any circumstance that changes dramatically, that time frame could be, for one person, it could be 2 weeks, and another person in the same exact scenario with a different mindset, it might be 3 months.
Yep.
And what's the difference between, we'll call him Derek. Derek is having a baby. Derek has a baby, and in 2 weeks, he's refound his consistent rhythm. And now we'll talk about how to make this difference, make it a 2-week period versus a 3-month period. But he's found a new consistent rhythm, and he's getting back to training and doing healthy lifestyle behaviors. But the other, example is, Jeff, who comes in and he has a baby, and it's 2 months before he finds that rhythm. And not because the baby was more difficult or there were more stressful circumstances for Jeff. It was really just maybe a mindset. It was expectations about what that was going to look like at 2 weeks versus 2 months, and maybe just skills and tools and resources to use to navigate. How do I get back to something that is like feeding me positively in a healthy way? And I know that I have been on the 2-week journey, and I've also been on the 3-month journey before. And the difference is often not the circumstance. It's, what the approach that you're taking to it is.
Yeah, that's right. I was just thinking in my mind of the time when your baby was first born and you were actually doing the open at the same exact moment.
Yeah. That was brutal. That was not successful. And so my expectation, of course, is I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the open. I'm going to be laser focused on it. I'm going to be well rested. I'm going to be taking care of myself. I'm going to, up until that time, every CrossFit Open I had ever done before, that was more or less a 5-week period of like, I'm kind of in a tunnel of focus, and I'm not that accessible. I can be kind of prickly. I'm not like, I'm not cracking as many jokes. And so I was like, that's what I need to create. If I can't create that, I can't do it. And I immediately saw like, this isn't going to work. I can't approach this in the way that I have in the past. So I pulled the, ripcord on it, and I said, I'm not doing this. And I don't regret that decision, but that was a mindset that I had. There was like, it was either one way or no way.
Yep.
And I didn't have like an alternative. And that, for something that's like a choice, like I didn't stop exercising. I just didn't compete in the worldwide CrossFit Games. There's a big difference. Like if Derek, decides to just say, fuck it, I'm not doing any exercise because I can't do it like I was doing when I was crushing pump 90 minutes a day or 60 minutes a day and getting in all my mobility and doing my walks in the morning and doing my cardio 3 times a week. And now I got a baby and I can't do that. So I'm just going to go to 0. That's a different situation where now this foundational practice in his life that's helping him to cope with this new stress of having a child, or even to enjoy this new, thing in his life. Like the foundation of his health and wellness is movement practice, is good eating. He's saying, I'm not going to do it because I can't do it like I did before. That's what I was alluding to, is like, it's all about your mindset going into it.
Yeah.
If you have a baby and you think like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to crush my 2 hours a day of training and mobility, and I'm going to do meal prep and just, like, you might be setting yourself up for a false expectation of what's really going to happen. Like there's going to be other stressors that come in that might not allow that to take place. You might be really exhausted. You might actually have that training window that used to be 90 minutes shortened to 45 minutes. Do you know how to make do with 45 minutes? Do you know how to feel positive and really good about 45 minutes? Do you know how to turn 45 minutes into the best experience possible for your body and feel just as good or maybe slightly less good than you did before, but something that feels like, wow, this is really worth every ounce of my energy and time, and I'm not gonna give it up. And then, you know, the 90 minutes that you used to have was at 7 a.m. But now 7 a.m. is like all hands on deck with the child. So your 45 minutes that you now have is actually at 3 p.m., but you don't even know to look for it there because it's a different lifestyle. And that's usually when you're, you know, at the office and buried in work, and so you have to kind of navigate a whole new like landscape of trying to solve like, where's my fitness going to fit? And those can be really hard questions to answer when you're under the new stress of what the new circumstance is. We talk about the baby. Okay, you're sleep deprived. If we talk about, you know, you're changing jobs, like, well, now you have to perform in a whole new environment, and you have new expectations and new bosses and, you know, new team members. And I mean, this even happened with somebody on our team recently who was a gym owner, a high-level CrossFit athlete, you know, very consistent with training for years, but then came into a new job with our company, and he was really motivated to do a great job, and he wanted to perform, and he wanted to like be accessible and available to everybody. And after like the first 2 or 3 months, he was like, it's the first time I'm going to say this, but like, it's the first time in years where I like kind of put my fitness to the side. I was like, wait a minute, whoa, pump the brakes. We gotta fix that, because nobody here wants that. It's not anyone's expectation here that you're gonna put training aside to, you know, be on Slack and be ready to answer a message at any moment of the day. So yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but how does that mindset, you know, concept resonate with you? And have you experienced like not having that right mindset, or when you've, you know, leveraged having a mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna expect much less out of myself, and that helped you at any point?
Yes. So this is a familiar concept that we've talked about in different ways before, because what we're really getting at is the all or nothing mentality versus the I'm going to accept whatever is on my plate for today mentality. Mm-hmm. And I'm very much in the I'm just going to accept what comes in my life, because I don't have a part of my identity that hinges on a very specific outcome or experience with my fitness. I enjoy moving, and I know that it makes me feel better and helps my mental health and helps me in lots of different ways. And so I make that trade-off where I'm willing to adapt and know that I might need to do just a very dialed back kind of thing for a while if I've got something really big going on. I know that I have to trade performance in the gym and sacrifice some of that I would actually really like to experience, because I have a stressful job and I'm a single mom and I just don't have enough to give to it. But I think that I'm different than a lot of people, because I think that we've seen time and time again with the athletes in our community that why is the all or nothing so important? It's like they have such a hard time letting go of the what could be if they were able to fully stay in it, to the point where there's so much attachment to that it can be very hard to refocus and see the good in just what is. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about why, because that's not necessarily my own experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's, you know, I don't know if this is your experience. I'll talk about my experience, but there were definitely times in my life where early on in my health and fitness journey, where it's like I had success doing something, and success might have been defined as like, well, I was getting stronger for the first time, or probably more likely I was getting ripped for the first time. I was getting lean and had good body composition. And I did it once. And so I had sort of a recipe. Hey, this works. If I'm all in on this, it works. Every time I stray from that, or if I stray from that, it doesn't work, because I only know one way to do it. I don't have a lot of tools. I don't have a lot of resources or experiences that show me a different path. And this was definitely my experience in like my early 20s, was like, oh my gosh, if I'm not eating this very specific diet and training in this way and depriving myself, like I can't be ripped. And I like that feeling. It feels good. I look good, or I like the way I look. So when I would go and stray away from that, you know, it was all or nothing. It was like, okay, I'm just going to eat whatever crappy things are around, but then I'll get back to like the, you know, soggy salads and whatever I was eating. Fortunately, I've put in a lot of time, and I've been very determined, you know, to overcome low points and obstacles and discover, like, how do I get back to this in a more sustainable way, or in a new approach. Like, I don't have access to that old thing, so I got to figure it out another way, because I'm really determined, and I have a lot of discipline to, like, you know, stick to something new. And with every experience of, like, we'll just stick to getting lean, you know, but there's other metrics that have defined success and fitness for me. With every time I like reclaimed a level of leanness through a different means, I was like, oh, look at that. Like, got to the same result, but I did it a totally different way. Oh, I lost it. Oh, look, I got it back. I got to the same level of leanness or the same result. I did it a different way. I did it when I was 21 and I was in college. I did it when I was 23 and I was in medical school. I did it at 25 when I started CrossFit and went paleo. I did it at 27 when I was doing CrossFit and I was eating a lot of carbs. I did it at this age, and I did it when I had a baby. And okay, look, I just did it all these different ways. And so now I'm like, you know what? If I look back on each of those, I thought at every single point, I'm like, great, I've got the answer, I got the solution, this is the best way to do it. And then life changed. Mm-hmm. And then I reclaimed it in a way that almost felt better. I was like, wow, this feels better than last time. So it gives me the confidence to invite the change and look for new ways to approach it, and do a lot of self-reflection. Like, I got, I was like, okay, I had a look and a feel to my body when I was training 2.5 hours a day that I loved. And then there was like that like deep pandemic was like, it was like 60 minutes of training 4 days a week. That was all I had time for. And then I would just walk with my kids in the stroller. And that was like that was it, and I bike ride once a week. And that was a whole different feeling. It was like, wow, it's like 50% of the amount of physical activity, and I feel and look as good as I've ever felt.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, like just having opportunities to see that gives me the confidence. It's repeatedly, like there's a lot of ways to get there.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways to succeed. And it's really like been my work to like, what are the common threads in there that really make that anchor that success?
Yep.
And I'm always trying to just strip it down. Like, what is the most fundamental basic necessities that we each need? And if we just do those pillars, right? This is pillars. It's like, if we do those pillars of our fitness, our health and fitness, then we can really distill things down to a very, this is what you need to get it done. And in times of stress and in times of change, that's what we focus on. And when there's, lots of freedom in your life, and you have extra time, and you feel the luxury of being able to do more, then by all means, go explore more, do more. But never convince yourself that if you don't have 90 minutes a day to do the hard training, if you can't prep and count every macro, and if you can't do cardio on top of that 3 or 4 times a week, that you can't have a great, health span and feel vital and look great and, function the way you want to. That's the mistake that people get into. And, I saw it a lot in the CrossFit world because people came in and they'd never really been in shape before. Like, they just never really been consistent with something. And then they finally got consistent around this community that was like fun and engaging. And it was doing this like really hard thing that they would never thought they would do. And they had some of their first success with like their body changing and feeling strong. And they connected it to like, I can only do that if I do CrossFit. Like if I do like blood boiling, burning CrossFit workouts 5 days a week, that's the only way I can be successful. And then eventually they're like, whoa, I can't do it anymore. I'm like tapped out. They're like, fuck it. I'm not doing anything. Like the number of people that went into the CrossFit gym, got into lifting and doing some good stuff, and then now don't even touch weights.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's tragic.
Yeah.
It's like, what was really good about that was that you started lifting weights. Like it wasn't because you did 100 burpees as fast as you possibly could. It was because you like got strong and you built some muscle mass. And now it's like, I got to hang out with some old clients of mine who came over to the house and did a workout. And I was like, okay, guys, let's deadlift. And I was like, when was the last time you all were lifting weights? They're like, I've got some like 10-pound dumbbells, 20-pound dumbbells I'm lifting. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what happened to the bat? Like, you guys used to be like, who could lift the most weight? Like, what's going on, It's like, I don't want to do that. Just, kind of, I don't know. I'm like, oh, man, that's too bad. So, wrap it up. Sum it up.
Okay.
What did we discuss today? What are the take-homes that people can take from this, I think?
Yeah, well, I've picked out a couple things that I want to run by you. One is that there's an emotional element to staying in the game and understanding that you can still make forward progress when a huge life event is coming your way or when there's been a major change to your routine or rhythm or consistency. And I think there's something about the knowledge that there are lots of different ways to go forward, and there's hope that even if you've slid back, I'm using back, in air quotes because it's not necessarily the end, We all have ups and downs on our journeys, but I think that there's something about if you are able to maintain hope alongside knowledge that there are different ways to get back and that the way it looked like before might not be the way forward, but there will be a way. Mm-hmm. I think that is just some crucial piece that you need so that you don't give up on the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, to sort of add to that, I think that when big life events change, that it can be difficult to really, own this perspective and this approach. But it's funny because it's the approach that we take with people that are starting from zero, which is what's something you can do tomorrow that you like a new habit you can adopt that you are confident you're going to do 9 times out of 10 or, mm-hmm. or 95 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Right. That thing that feels like that's just, I can definitely do that.
Yep.
And if let's say you're the person who's like, okay, I've been going 90 minutes at the gym, 5 days a week, crushing it. Baby's coming tomorrow. Day one, what's something I can definitely do? I can go for a 15-minute walk. I can do 100 push-ups. I can do 10 push-ups. I can do 50 squats. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's going to feel like a dramatic, decrease. And I want you to pick a low bar.
Yeah.
And do it day one.
Yep.
And do it day 2. And do it day 3. And then day 4 is a really fucking hard day with your new kid. And you're like, man, going for that 15-minute walk sounds tough. And that's like, your first opportunity to set yourself on a very, very powerful, successful path forward. Do it on that day. And you will walk away and be like, damn, I just did something great. And it was only a 15-minute walk, and that energizes you. It no longer seems like this thing that was just like, oh, it's just doing. You're like, whoa, that can be hard. And then stick to it. And then honestly, like with a kid, it might be a couple weeks, but there's going to be like a day where you're like, oh, like we kind of have a rhythm, and it's going to last for another week. And then you're going to have a whole new thing to uncover. But then it's like, okay, I can stretch that into now my kid's taking this nap, and I'm going to take her on a 30-minute, walk each day. And I'm going to get back to my body weight training. I can carve out 30 minutes 3 times a week to do minimalist. Okay, great. I'll stick to that and stick. Yeah, you're not at 90 minutes, and yeah, it's different. And it's just like add a little bit, but start super small. And then be on the lookout for your opportunities. Wow, like the kid always goes down at this time, or my partner can watch the kid, and I'm gonna meal prep once a week now. I never had to meal prep before because I could just cook my meals whenever I wanted to. But now it's like I don't have a lot of time to do that, so I'm gonna meal prep once a week. And it's like picking out those little things that you can do. And same thing for somebody who's changing jobs or changing gyms, or like, okay, I'm changing gyms. I love to spend 2 hours there, but this new gym is like an extra 30-minute drive, and I don't have that much time, so I'm going to give myself an hour. That's all. I have an hour. I got to get there. I'm going to set the clock as soon as I watch in, and I am just going to move for 60 minutes. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just like put my headphones on. No one talk to me. I am not available for chit chat. So anyhow, keep the bar low to start, and then put in those consistent wins. And one day that consistent win is going to feel like the biggest win of your life because you overcame something that was really hard. And that is going to set you on a real positive course going forward. And that's where the discipline that we talk about is so key, right? You're going to be motivated, not motivated. And then discipline needs to be at its highest. And something I tell myself in those moments is that this is my chance to do something that most people would choose not to do. And that's what's going to set me apart. That's what's going to give me access to the good feeling that so many people are chasing but can't grab a hold of. It's that moment to decide, oh, wow, this is really hard. By doing this, I'm unique. I'm going to get something that few people really can say that they have had access to.
Yeah. You know what I tell myself on those Mondays that I have a tough time getting going on? I often have a really good training session on those Mondays. Yeah. And afterwards, I'm like, there was a gift for myself, from myself to myself, that I can only receive if I just show up for it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's send them out on that. Thank you all for listening today. I hope this conversation really resonated with you, and you got a couple nuggets from it. And just like the person who sent in this topic idea, please send us DMs, message us, email support@functional-bodybuilding.com. Send in whatever you guys would like to hear us talk about. And next time there's an AMA on Instagram, be sure to drop your questions in there. Talk to you soon.
See ya.